Hey everybody, this is Ryan McClanahan with HistoryThroughCards.com. Hope you're all doing very well today. In this video, I want to tell you the story of Bob Mann, one of the early black NFL players, and this story comes from his Irish sports page. And I know what you guys are probably thinking. Why do you read the Irish sports pages? And they're kind of depressing, but I've found over the years that I really do enjoy these things because it gives a pretty simple overview of the person's life. And I really enjoy telling you guys about some of these ball players and other people who are associated with sports cards. And I have found that there's a lot of information within the Irish sports page that you really just can't get anywhere else. Um, Bob Mann is a really kind of a forgotten ball player today, but when he came up through, I believe it was the University of Michigan, he was an outstanding ball player for Michigan, and I believe Michigan actually had an undefeated season during his time. Um, in the 1946, right after World War II, is when the NFL decided to desegregate uh, the league, and the league was segregated between 1933 and 1946, and it was a lot like baseball. It was nothing was signed on paper. I don't think they would be that stupid, although the whole segregation thing is really stupid to me. I really want to point the finger at George Preston Marshall for banning black ball players in the NFL in 1933, and that direction is easy to pinpoint on him because in 1932 Marshall ended up really kind of founding the Redskins, and he named the team after a Indian coach or a coach who said he was a Sioux Indian. I believe his name was Dietz, Lone Star Dietz, and I'll be getting to this in an article fairly shortly. I think within a month or so. I just have so much going on my plate right now. But in any event, um, the reintegration of black ball players in the NFL is really kind of interesting to me. Um, I think, well, segregation, I've never really understood it, although I'm from a different era in American society. And so, again, I'm not going to really understand that you you can't do anything about your skin color. You are born the way you are. It's really what's up here that counts and what's in here. And a lot of people, it's unfortunately it's been politicized over the years, and we're really kind of, I think, taking a step back toward what Dr. Martin Luther King had said back in 1963, which I think sometimes it's for political reasons why we've done so, or because of financial reasons, or because somebody needs someone else to blame. Um, I find it very interesting. Me being a disabled guy, I really kind of look through a black and white lens anyway. I'm just really lucky personally that I can walk and I can talk. I can do something like this, and I can hold down a job. And you know, uh, there would have been a time where people have said, no, you can't. And a lot of people have said to me personally, no, you can't do X, Y, Z. And I've proven them otherwise. And I think that's the ingenuity of the human spirit. And I think it's a very difficult thing to get rid of. And what I think is so very impressive about Bob Mann is not just that he got to play football professionally, but he also, at the age of 44 years old, decided to go to law school and become a lawyer. And he was a lawyer for over 30 years, and a defense lawyer at that, too. I always kind of wanted to be a lawyer. I read enough court cases and know enough about the laws, but um, I I don't think I could really kind of handle being a lawyer. So my hat is off to Bob Mann for what he has achieved in his life, and especially as a football player. I remember a long time ago, Eddie Yost, the third baseman for the Washington Senators in the 1950s, he kind of pulled me aside one day and told me, you know, if you make it to the professional league, you are an all-star. It doesn't matter if you're there for one day or for 18 years. Uh, you have arrived. You've done it, and so um, it is a dream of, I think, any athlete to actually make it to the professional level, whether it's baseball, basketball, hockey, golf, tennis. I don't think it really matters. The fact is that you had a dream, you followed that dream, and you tried. And for at least 18 to 20,000 baseball players, they made it to the professional level, to Major League Baseball. And I think about the same for the NFL too. So for him to actually be in the NFL, I think is very impressive. He is actually one of the early integrated ball players after World War II. A lot of people say that Bill Willis doesn't actually have a card, and that's not actually true. Willis is found in a Cleveland Browns team set, I believe, in about 1947, 48 or so. He does have, I think, two. And then obviously Marion Motley has a 1950 Bowman and a 1951. His cards can be extremely expensive, and Bill Willis is going to take you quite some time to try to track down one of his cards. Kenny Washington, again, another early black ball player from post-war. He is found in the 1948 Bowman and 48 Leaf, and both of those cards are very, very expensive today. He is, I think, one of the first players to be signed in the NFL in 1946. And then you have Paul Tank Younger, and I believe he started playing about 1948-49. And then Fletcher Joe Perry. He also is in this category as well, and he does have cards too. His 1950 Bowman, I believe, is his rookie. He may actually have another card out there from 1950. Today, I think that Bob Mann deserves his own video, and so I found two really interesting articles that I think you guys would enjoy. So here they are. This is from the La Crosse Tribune, La Crosse, Wisconsin, October 25th, 2006. Bob Mann, first black player to make Packers roster, dies. Detroit, AP. Bob Mann, who began his career with Detroit Lions and later the first black player to make the Green Bay Packers roster, has died at age 82. Mann died Saturday in Detroit, according to the Lions. Mann was a receiver for the Lions and Packers during his NFL career and in the late 1940s and early 1950s. Afterwards, he became a lawyer and worked in Detroit. Mann, a North Carolina native, played football at the University of Michigan. He ended his college career in 1947 as an honorable mention All-American and All-Big Nine star on Coach Fritz Crisler's national championship team, which was undefeated that year. After college, Mann signed with Coach Bo McMillan and the Lions, and in 1948 he and back Melvin Grooms became the Lions' first black players. In 1948, Mann set a Lions record for receptions, 66, and became the club's first ever 1,000-yard receiver. He led the NFL that year with 1,014 receiving yards. The Lions traded Mann to the New York Yanks in 1950 for future Hall of Famer Bobby Lane. Mann was released by the Yanks but continued his career with the Green Bay, where he played for parts of 5 seasons, finishing in 1954. With the Packers, he had 109 receptions for 1,629 yards and 17 touchdowns in 38 games. His best year with Green Bay was in 1951, when he had 696 receiving yards and scored 8 touchdowns. While Mann was the first black player to make the Packers' official roster, running back Jim Clark and offensive lineman Jim Thomas were brought into camp before Mann, but neither made the team, according to research by the Packers. Mann is survived by his wife of 50 years, Vera, and 2 daughters. A memorial service was planned for a Saturday at the St. Sephrons Episcopal Church in Detroit. This is from the Green Bay Press-Gazette, Green Bay, Wisconsin, October 24th, 2006. I never had any problems. That's how Bob Mann, the Packers' first black player, remembered life in Green Bay in the early 1950s, by Mike Vandermeuse. As the first African American to play for the Green Bay Packers, Bob Mann will go down as a trailblazer in team history. Mann, who played for the Packers from 1950 to 1954, died Saturday in the Detroit area. He was 82. Mann was a 5'11", 175-pound end who led the Packers with 50 catches, 696 receiving yards, and 8 touchdowns in 1951. Off the field, he built a reputation as a quiet man with an even temper and dry sense of humor. Art Daly, who covered the Packers for the Green Bay Press-Gazette in the 1950s, remembers when Mann was forced to stay in a different hotel than the team on road trips because of his race. Daly recalls Mann telling him, quote, "It's all politics," unquote. One of Daly's favorite stories about Mann involved teammate Dick Afflis, a guard who later became better known as a pro wrestler Dick the Bruiser. According to Daly, the Packers were staying at a Baltimore hotel that didn't allow black guests. After a team meeting, Mann was forced to go to another hotel and was joined by Afflis, his 250-pound teammate. They walked out of the hotel together and got outside and called a cab, Daly said. The cab came up and the driver said, "I can't take him because he's black." Afflis grabbed the cab driver by the shirt and said, "You take him where he wants to go." Mann was an honorary captain at a 1997 Packers game in Lambeau Field. In an interview with the Press-Gazette at the time, Mann said, "I never had any problems. Everyone treated me well." According to Daly, hotels in bigger cities and in the South had restrictions based on race at the time, but no such edicts existed in Green Bay. He had a lot of fun, Daly said. Mann was an honorable mention All-American player on Michigan's national championship team in 1947. He signed with Detroit after college and, along with Melvin Grooms, became the Lions' first African-American players in 1948. Mann led the NFL with 1,114 receiving yards in 1949, and his 66 catches ranked second to the Rams' Tom Fears, who set an NFL record that season with 77 receptions. The Lions traded Mann to the New York Yanks in 1950 for quarterback Bobby Lane, a future Pro Football Hall of Famer. Mann was released by the Yanks and signed by the Packers. He was on the small side, but he was a very nifty and productive wide receiver, Packers historian Lee Remmel said. Mann said his biggest thrill was being inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame in 1988. "That was a highlight for me," Mann told the Press-Gazette in 1997. "Coming back for that was my greatest memory, although I had a lot of them as a player as well. Mann finished his Packers career with 109 catches for 1,629 yards and 17 touchdowns. He was released midway through the 1954 season and retired. Mann, a native of New Bern, North Carolina, earned his law degree after retiring from football. He headed Robert Mann and Associates in Detroit for more than 30 years. His office was located just a few blocks from Ford Field, where the Lions play. Bob was a great example to everyone, Pro Football Hall of Famer Lem Barney said in a Lions press release announcing Mann's death. Not only was he a great football player, but a man who gave of himself to the city and the entire community. Mann is survived by his wife of 50 years, Vera. Funeral arrangements are pending. The difference between Bob Mann being traded by the Lions and Bobby Lane being traded by the Lions is that Bobby Lane cursed the team for, well, now more than 50 years. In any event, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I really appreciate it as always. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, I'd love to hear them in the comment section below, and make sure to give a like and subscribe if you will. I'd greatly appreciate that. Personally, I never thought I'd actually get to where I am right now, so again, this is all because you guys watch me on a weekly basis, which I'm very surprised at. But in any event, guys, again, thank you so much for stopping by, and I will talk to you later. Bye.